So just to quickly talk about some different UI elements that exist within the builder over here, I'm going to just close down this project tab. So we've been using text views. We have buttons, right, which are clickable. An image view, which basically can include an image. So once we drop an image into our project, we can link it with this text, with this image view, and have it appear here. It's pretty simple. There's also some nice little defaults in here. Recycler view, which we're not going to be using. A scroll view, which allows us to have an area that is scrollable. A switch, right? A tappable switch that moves back and forth. All of these are different text entry forms, right? Email, phone, etc. Button, image button. So if we want to use an image for a button instead, we can do that here. Chip group. And a chip, which, by the way, if these have this little download, that means you have to download a dependency to use them. Checkbox. A grouping of radio buttons. Toggle buttons, right? An on-off button, basically. There's tons of different widgets: web view, video view, calendar view, progress bar. And then helpful layouts. For example, linear layout, horizontal. We'll pull in this kind of view that we can then drop things into to have them linearly lay out. Under containers, there's loads of different containers, things that you can play with. But I want you to explore these, and if you are interested in how they work, for instance, if I drop this spinner in here, and I say, so what is this thing? How does this actually work? If I right-click it and go to Android documentation, it'll pull up the developer page on the spinner. It'll tell me, here's how you use it, here's how to link it to your code, here's what different functions you can do with it. Let's say, for example, I want to use the checkbox button. I can drop that in, right-click it, and say Android documentation, and find that documentation. We can also find what are called the material guidelines, and the material guidelines will pull up material.io, which is this website about material design. And material design is the primary design principles that Android works off of. And they're showing you what are some things that you should be using, like how should you use these checkboxes or radio buttons or switches. And these are even interactive, so you can see what they'll look like for your user. So simply put, I just want to open these things up so that you can start exploring some of the deeper UI elements and how to use them in your app.